Jungkook sighed, sitting in his office in front of a pile of papers, not knowing what to do with them anymore. He massaged his temples and decided to take a break. He wanted to do something that would enlighten his mood, but he couldn't think of anything, unless he remembered about his arranged wife. Although he never admits, but his heart flutters for her. He smirked, leaning back to his chair, and dialed her number. Jungkook, come to my office. I have a surprise for you, he said as soon as she picked up the phone, without letting her speak. Wine. Surprise? All of a sudden? Jungkook. Yes, but the condition is that you will have to come this instant. Wine. Is it worth it? Because I am. Jungkook. It's more than that, I promise. Just come and you will love it. Wine smiled and said, that was so sudden. Okay, thanks. I will be running. She became really happy and excited for the gift. It doesn't usually happen with him as a husband. Most days he's cold and silent, but sometimes when he does things like that, it makes her heart flutter too. Fine and Jungkook were arranged married, but somewhere along the way they started growing feelings for each other. The casual takes he took her on and the way they respected each other made their hearts flutter, even when they didn't want to marry each other at first. But today, after getting the call, she had second thoughts about it. Jungkook was many things, but spontaneous surprises weren't his style. She got more curious now, grabbing her bag and heading towards his office, wondering what on earth he had planned. The door to Jungkook's office swung open with a soft click. Wine stepped in, her eyes scanning the room for any signs of surprise. Maybe flowers, a gift, but there was nothing. Just Jungkook, looking far too tired, with eye bags on his face, sat behind his desk. He looked up to see who dared to barge inside his office without knocking. As he looked at Vine, he instantly smiled. Leaving the pen on the desk, he said, you came earlier than I thought. Vine, where's the surprise? She asked, folding her arms over her chest. Jungkook shrugged casually. His smirk widened. Jungkook, you're looking at it. Vine blinked, her eyes narrowing in realization. He was teasing her again. The most important thing that wasn't mentioned was that he knew a lot of ways to tease her, and he loved doing it. If he didn't tease her once in a day, he can't focus on his work. Yet he refuses to believe he loves her and can't live without her. Teasing her is just one of the ways to get her attention. Her cheeks flushed with frustration and embarrassment. Fine. Are you serious? You called me here for this? She snapped, glaring at him. Jungkook stirred, slowly walking towards her. His dark eyes twinkled. Jungkook, why? You don't like the gift? I mean, what else can there be more beautiful, valuable, or exciting than me for you? Her heart stuttered at his words, but she refused to give in. Not again. Wine nodded. If you missed me, then you could have just said that. She huffed, her irritation growing by the second. Wine. That's why I wanted to ask you if the surprise was worth it. I was watching Shin-chan, you know. She shouted in irritation. Jungkook. Because I missed you. Wine. You could have said that. I would arrive after some minutes. You told me to come this instant, as if the gift would run away if I didn't come on time. I was worried for a second. Jungkook chuckled. That's the face I love to see. Wine frowned and took a deep breath. Wine. I better go home to watch Shin-chan before I lose my cool. She turned on her heel and stormed out of his office, leaving Jungkook chuckling softly to himself. That was enough fun for the day. Now he can peacefully work. He watched her go, admiring the way she held her head high, even when she was furious with him. As Vine made her way down the hallway, her temper still visible, she spotted Namjoon, who was pouring coffee for himself. Namjoon is Jungkook's best friend, and he usually comes home. He is very friendly, and Vine and him easily became really good friends. Vine, Namjoon, she called out. Her tone brightened at the sight of him. Namjoon glanced up. A warm smile spread across his face. Namjoon, hey Vine, what are you doing here? Vine, your CEO summoned me, she muttered, rolling her eyes dramatically as she sat down on the chair opposite him. Namjoon raised an eyebrow as he asked, Jungkook, did he pull one of his stunts again? Vine scoffed. Don't even get me started. I swear that man is impossible. He acts like this cold, distant mafia, but then he does stuff like this. Namjoon chuckled. Vine, it's like he's got two personalities. One minute he's all serious and aloof, and the next he's dragging me into his office for no reason. I mean, whose dad is that? Does he think I'm just sitting around waiting for his attention? Namjoon's eyes flickered over Vine's shoulder, and his smile faltered for a split second, but Vine was too absorbed in her irritation to notice. Vine, and don't even get me started on his teasing. Sometimes I feel like he's just playing games with me. Like, is it really that hard for him to just be honest? If he misses me, he should just say it. Why go through all this unnecessary drama? At that moment, Namjoon cleared his throat, looking a little uncomfortable. Vine frowned at his sudden change in expressions and turned around, only to come face to face with Jungkook. Her heart stopped. He had been standing right behind her, silently listening to every word. Jungkook's face was unreadable, but his eyes gleamed with amazement. His hands were casually tucked into his pockets as he tilted his head slightly with a teasing smirk. Jungkook, so I act like I have two personalities, do I? He said, his voice low and smooth. Vine's face flushed crimson. She stammered, desperately searching for something to say, but her mind went blank. Namjoon, trying his best to stifle his laughter, gave her a sympathetic glance, but it was clear he was enjoying the situation far too much. Vine, I didn't mean it like that. Vine managed, her voice barely above a whisper. Jungkook took a step closer, his smirk widening. I guess I'll have to find a new way to surprise you. Vine swallowed hard, suddenly feeling very small under his intense gaze. But despite her embarrassment, a part of her heart fluttered at how close he was standing, at the way his eyes softened slightly as they met hers. Namjoon, sensing the shift in the atmosphere, quickly excused himself, leaving the two of them alone in the hallway. Jungkook leaned in closer, his breath warm against her ear. Jungkook, next time I'll pick you up myself if I miss you, so I won't have to find an excuse. Fine. And what if I refuse? He held her hand and raised it to the side of her head, fitting his fingers in hers as he said, Then I'll kidnap you. Her eyes widened and her breath hitched. Jungkook stepped even closer, his chest just inches from hers. The familiar smirk on his lips softened. Jungkook, Vine whispered, but before she could say anything more, his hand cupped her cheeks gently. His thumb brushed lightly against her skin. He leaned in slowly, giving her time to pull away if she wanted, but Vine didn't move. Her body betrayed her, tilting slightly towards him. Her heart raced as her eyes closed. And then he knew he had her permission. He immediately crashed his lips upon hers. She pulled him closer through his neck and he ran his hands on her waist. Jungkook, I guess I really will have to kidnap you next time, he said after breaking the kiss. Wine grinned. You won't have to. I'll come willingly next time. Jungkook smirked, and before she could say anything else, he kissed her again, passionately this time, as if they both knew that there was no going back now.